I was watching this documentary on AI and came across Martin Ford's concerns. He's a software engineer and also the author of the book, The Rise of the Robots. It made me realize his concerns could be common to most minds and so need to be addressed. And so, today we are going to do just that.
Martin Ford is a software entrepreneur who has a chilling vision of the future. His best-selling books have put him at the forefront of a movement which worries about technology, the speed of its growth, and the immense potential it has to change the world.
It will indeed change the world, and it has been. AI has the capacity to make rational decisions based on available data, which once only humans were believed to have the capability of.
This is the fourth industrial revolution, the advent of machines powered by artificial intelligence, which have the potential to make redundant hundreds of millions of workers across the planet.
Well, if jobs are being depleted, they're also being created at the same time.
Well, the central idea in my latest book, The Rise of the Robots, is that over time, machines, computers, smart algorithms are increasingly going to substitute for human labor. I think that that's inevitable. Technology is eventually going to be able to do many of the things that people now do, and I think there's a good chance that that will result in unemployment. It's going to push people out of the labor force. Many people are going to find it impossible to adapt to that because they're not going to have capabilities that really exceed what machines.
Definitely not blown out of proportions. Self-driving cars would significantly reduce road accidents. And because technologies like Alexa that can look up and provide you with the information within a fraction of seconds, you should by now know that it is impractical to have people on the jobs that require them to remember vast amount of information, assess the problem that's in front of them, and provide accurate solutions to fix it. Even the most experienced is bound to make mistake because he or she might miss critical information. You see, here's what our egotistic human minds fail to realize. When you're a human being working on a subject matter for years to perfect it, you will miss out on thousands of data discovered by people on the other side of the planet, speaking an entirely different language. Why? Because not all research papers are translated, and not all research is brought to light for more people to know. It is perhaps only published on private forums, which is why you are bound to miss critical information. A human brain is not a good hard drive to store and retrieve information whenever needed. But because technologies like AI can not only be powered with storage and retrieval of data, but also analyze and adapt based on various data found from across the globe, different research fields and line of work. And so the chances of accuracy of an AI delivered solution is higher than that arrived at by a human being.
We may already be starting to see the effect on the wider economy. In the first decade of this century, the net total number of jobs created in the United States was 0.
Net total of all kinds of jobs? Does this include precarious workers as well? I wonder. Gig workers, agency workers, freelancers, contractors. By the way, did you know that because Fortune 100 companies are required to pay benefits to their full-time employees, they hire most of their new joiners as contractors instead of employees? Does the statistics include such calculations, I wonder? Because when an Uber driver lost his job from his previous company due to automation, he was then hired at a gig working platform. Gig is not equivalent to a job.
What we see is that in the United States, we've been having what we call jobless recovery. So clearly there's something happening there. And I think part of what's happening is that jobs disappear when a recession happens. And then when finally recovery comes back, companies find that they're able to leverage technology to avoid rehiring a lot of those workers.
Because workers are expensive.
And so it's taken longer and longer for the jobs to reappear.
Throughout history, technology has always disrupted economies and societies. In the late 19th century, 50% of US workers were employed on farms. By 2000, it was less than 2%.
Partly because of Industrial Revolution. People started working in factories because they paid more, and Farming required less labor, and so they started moving to places where they were required.
What transformed agriculture was a specific mechanical technology. Now we've got a technology that's really just ubiquitous. It's across the board. Artificial intelligence is something that's just scaling across our entire economy. It's not something that's impacting just one sector. It's something that literally is everywhere. And as a result, it means that there isn't really going to be any safe haven for workers.
Which is why I keep saying build skill development centers. If you haven't watched my video on why the US deliberately pushing people into homelessness, go give that a watch. Pause this video. You will see how important it is for the government and the industries to work hand in hand and set up skill development centers at every locality, just like how we have schools. Education and skill development are a lifelong journey, not something to be had between the ages of 18 to 25 and then stopped. If government supplies free skill training based on industry requirements, the people and skills will not be outdated. If a company decides to replace its entire department with machinery, the employees, the government, and the company will be kept in the loop. And will have trained the employees to take over work that does need human attention. Plus, if an employee decides to learn a skill that he or she is interested in, we'll be able to transition to an entirely different sector without having to start from the bottom.
Total data stored on the world's computers is now believed to be well over 1,000 billion gigabytes. And it is big data which is driving the most disruptive advance in technology, the ability of machines to think.
One thing that you'll very often hear people say, even today, is that computers only do what they're programmed to do. And this is really not right anymore.
I was watching this award-winning documentary called AlphaGo. There's a board game called Go that has become a part of the Asian culture. People try and master the game, and those who do are called geniuses, because the game has innumerable possible outcomes. The company AlphaGo designed an AI program to see if it can crack the game and beat the human Go champion. Not surprisingly, it did. But what's interesting here is, spoiler alert, the program AlphaGo was seen to think its next move and go against all the possible moves derived from the huge data set that it acquired. The program literally played like a human being, and it was both fascinating and terrifying at the same time.
The last great technological advance saw robots replace millions of blue-collar jobs in factories and on production lines. Martin believes this new disruption is going to target the white-collar workforce.
Well, that's true. Here's what I predict. Just like in the movies, in the near future, machines would equal the working class and human beings would be doing whatever they want. Just like the aristocrats back in the day. Possibly a class system would be evolved, just like in the past where you have purebred humans to be the superiors, the genetically modified ones who maintain and govern. And then there's the machine class, the inferiors who do all the jobs.
Many of the jobs which might be displaced are those currently occupied by educated, highly paid workers.
Any job that requires precision and high-level thinking based on previous or historical trends will be the earliest to be wiped out. Does your job require you to have precise determination of a problem? Does it require you to remember things more than an average person? If yes, then you have a problem. Clearly, so do I.
There have been a couple of studies done, most notably by a couple of researchers at Oxford University, and they looked at a number of countries, and most of the results have come back suggesting that up to half of the jobs could be susceptible to automation, perhaps over the next 20 years.
It'll be more than that. It's also because more and more companies are finding loopholes in the system to profit themselves. Labor is a cost that they're worried about, and so you will see most modifications in that area.
Inequality on steroids. The very wealthy people who own all this technology are going to do it.
While those who don't will suffer, which is why we have the government. If governments would have worked with the wealthy companies and not for the wealthy companies, inequality would not have been so massive.
Unrest, perhaps even riots or massive crime waves.
Did you know Chiquita Banana paid gangs in DRC which helped them continue terrorism in the country? DRC is Democratic Republic of Congo. Why did they do it? Well, the idea was to eliminate all hurdles that they might face while bringing the bananas from DRC to the United States. These groups had taken over the country, and so movement of any goods was subject to their leaders' approval. And continual donations of such kind would help them ease out receiving the approvals every single time. So tell me, will the artificial intelligence revolution increase unemployment? Yes and no. If you paid attention to the things that I said, then you probably knew this answer already. No, because of two major aspects of a human being. Number one, greed. Number two, creativity. Let's take an example that incorporates both of these aspects. The women in my home country, India, are known to have the lowest female labor force participation rate in the whole world. If you haven't watched my video on why don't Indian men want to marry a career woman, go give it a watch. You see, even today, let alone many years ago when home appliances weren't even introduced in the Indian consumer markets, women have been preparing things from scratch. That means hours of labor pounding spices just for a 3-time meal and other household chores, which fortunately has been made quick and easy with the introduction of home appliances. So what happened to those who did adopt these appliances in their lifestyles? Well, these women had a lot of free time at hand, since their jobs as housewives was taken over by machines. So what did they do? They joined the workforce, got themselves higher education, started a business, and most importantly, got a life outside those four walls that they called home. You see, this has been happening ever since technology started replacing human jobs. Human beings have had a chance to use their higher potential to come up with new ideas to keep themselves preoccupied or to make their lives better than it already is. Which is why you might take away one job type today, but someone else will come up with a new job type tomorrow. The answer to this question could also be yes, because nobody knows how soon, but one day, technology will be advanced enough and machines will be intelligent enough to be able to do all our jobs. Is that bad? I don't think so. Because you see, it's going to be gradual. And COVID has made me realize that human beings are highly capable of adapting to change quickly and function efficiently. Think about it. Isn't that what we all have been manifesting? Every time the next morning is a Monday? Oh, how I wish I did not have to go to work, but still be able to have nice things. Did you know, historically, human beings did not have to work to have food on the table? It was a system designed by the aristocrats. But that's a story for another time, which is why you should consider subscribing to my channel and share this with more like-minded people. And if you like this video, tap on that thumbs up.